All right, let's get into it. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating and, yeah, often pretty confusing world of cryptocurrencies. This thing has gone from a niche digital curiosity to a topic being debated in the biggest boardrooms on the planet. So, is it a revolution or is it a massive risk? Let's break it down. To really get why there's so much buzz around crypto, we first have to talk about the problem it was actually trying to solve. And it's a pretty big problem, one that's baked right into our traditional financial system. Take a look at this number. It is pretty staggering. Since 1971, the US dollar has lost almost 87% of its purchasing power. Think about that. Your money just buys way, way less than it used to. This slow, steady erosion of value is exactly why some people started looking for an alternative, something that couldn't just be printed over and over again by a government. So that search for an alternative, for something not controlled by a single bank or government, led directly to the invention of a totally new kind of money, built on some pretty groundbreaking technology. So what is a cryptocurrency? Well, at its heart, it's really just digital money. But here's the revolutionary part. It's designed to work without anyone in charge. There's no CEO, there's no central bank, no single person or group calling the shots. And how in the world is that possible? Well, it's all thanks to the technology running underneath it all, the blockchain. You can think of it as a super secure, shared digital record book that keeps track of every single transaction that ever happens. Okay, so here's a really simple way to picture it. Imagine a spreadsheet, but instead of living on one computer, it's copied and shared across thousands of computers all over the world. Whenever a new transaction happens, that spreadsheet updates for everybody at the same time. And because all the entries are linked together in a chain, it's incredibly difficult, almost impossible to secretly go back and fake or change something. It's a system built on total transparency. Okay, so we've got this decentralized money running on a secure public ledger. That's the theory. But how are people actually using it today? Let's see how this stuff really works out there in the wild. While the two biggest names you always hear are Bitcoin and Ethereum, and while they get lumped together, they were actually built for totally different things. Bitcoin was really designed to be digital gold, a way to store value outside the traditional system. Ethereum, on the other hand, was built to be more like a world computer, a platform for programmable finance, where developers can build all sorts of applications that run on the blockchain itself. And from those two, the whole ecosystem has just exploded. Today, people use crypto as that store of value we talked about, but also for payments and as the engine for things like decentralized finance, or DeFi, which aims to let you borrow and lend without needing a bank. It's also used for sending money across borders and, let's be honest, for a ton of speculative investing. And it's not just a small group of people anymore. Check out this number, $62 billion. That's the amount of money that has flowed into the new US Bitcoin ETFs since they launched. This is a huge signal that big-time institutional investors, we're talking the major leagues of finance, are now getting into the game. But, and this is a really big but, along with all that growth and potential, you have some serious, undeniable risks. This is a brand new and incredibly volatile world, and we absolutely have to do a reality check. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? The volatility is one of the biggest risks. I mean, look at this. During its worst downturns, Bitcoin's average drop was a massive 57%. For comparison, global stocks dropped about 21% in their bear markets. We are not talking about gentle swings here. These are gut-wrenching drops. On top of the wild market swings, the crypto space is a huge target for fraud. And as Aaron West points out here, these scams are stealing billions and ruining lives. And it's not because people are being dumb or naive. These are incredibly sophisticated and manipulative schemes. Scammers will try anything and everything. They'll promise you guaranteed returns that are just way too good to be true. They'll create these elaborate romance scams, build fake websites that look real, or they'll pump up the price of a worthless coin just to dump it on unsuspecting buyers. It's a minefield out there. So here's a crucial point. While scams are a massive threat from the outside, sometimes the biggest risk is, well, you. In the world of crypto, you are your own bank. If you lose your private key, that's the secret password that proves you own your funds, those funds can be gone forever. There's no 1-800 number to call for help. So, with all that in mind, you've got this revolutionary potential on one side and these extreme, very real risks on the other. What's the final verdict from the financial world? How are the pros looking at this new asset class?
As you can imagine, the investment world is completely divided. The bulls, the optimists, they point to things like Bitcoin's fixed supply. There will only ever be 21 million, and its potential as a hedge against inflation. But the bears? They point right back at the insane volatility, the constant scams, and the fact that it's not backed by any real-world assets or cash flow.
And that caution is definitely reflected by the big institutions. Take JP Morgan, for instance. They state pretty clearly that they do not recommend Bitcoin as part of a core investment portfolio. For many of the pros, it's still seen as a highly speculative bet, something you only get into if you fully understand and can afford to lose what you put in.
Which really brings us back to the central question, doesn't it? Are we watching the beginning of a whole new financial system that's going to reshape everything? Or is this a fascinating but ultimately very high-stakes digital experiment with a future that's still completely up in the air? Right now, the debate is far from over.